Keep on moving on.
Hello and welcome to this week's LFS podcast with me, Keevan Ferris. Coming up on the show, another huge week of transfer news, including Jordan Henderson joining El-Ettifaq from Liverpool. Plus, all the latest from the Women's World Cup as teams qualify for the knockout stages. And this week's topic is the KYLIAN MbappE saga. Where will the Frenchman end up this summer? Will it be Saudi Arabia, Real Madrid, or will he stay at PSG? All of that and much more to come on this week's LFS podcast.
Keep on moving on.
Hello and welcome to this week's LFS podcast with me, Keevan Ferris. A very good day to you. We are recording this a day early, so if there is a bit of information that is about a bit out of date, that is the reason why. We're recording this on a Thursday. Usually we record it on a Friday, but a Thursday it is today. Has to be this week. Very, very busy. So let's get on with things because there's so much to talk about. And this week's news is absolutely jam-packed with information. There are so many stories breaking minute after minute that it's impossible to keep up with. But we're going to try our best to keep you updated with everything that happens. Right, to the first story of the afternoon, and Liverpool captain Jordan Henderson has completed a controversial move to reunite with Steven Gerrard at Saudi Pro League side Al-Ettifaq. Al-Ettifaq, managed by Liverpool legend Gerrard, are believed to be paying Henderson close to £350,000 a week on a deal until 2026. Henderson's controversial transfer to Saudi Arabia's Pro League comes with a fee worth around £13 million and brings his 12-year Anfield career to an end, winning 7 major trophies in that time. 33-year-old sought clarity from Jurgen Klopp over how much game time he would get with the Reds next season before making his decision to leave. While Liverpool are undergoing a midfield rebuild that is not complete yet, they have added Alexis McAllister and Dominic Szoboszlai, with strong interest remaining in Romeo Lavia. Well, Jordan Henderson, look, it's a big story. It's a huge story that the Liverpool captain is heading to Saudi Arabia after we've had so many transfers to Saudi Arabia this summer. So many big names, but this is one that's going to be a big name on a whole different front from a moral standpoint. And it's been massively highlighted, and rightfully so, to be fair. You know, Jordan Henderson has been such an advocate for the LGBTQ plus community over his tenure as Liverpool captain, and especially over the last few years, that that kind of reputation has kind of been tarnished now amongst Liverpool fans and amongst that community, that one of their biggest allies in football has kind of jumped ship and went the other way. And that's a huge shock for them. So it's definitely a big shock to them and a big, you know, not that it was unexpected, because at the end of the day, you know, footballers getting to a certain age, he's 33 years of age, there was always going to be outside interest. And with Saudi Arabia picking up these players that are kind of at the end of their careers, or towards the end of their careers this summer, it wasn't that Henderson would be massively out of the question, but it's whether he would have accepted it or not at a £350,000 a week contract when he's on a good contract at Liverpool. I don't know, really. What I don't see the actual logic behind it. But we move on, and to another one of, well, the GOAT, the biggest star in football. Lionel Messi scored twice and assisted once on his first start for Inter Miami in a 4-0 win over Atlanta United. The Argentina star scored two inside the opening 22 minutes before setting up teammate Robert Taylor in the second half. After netting his second, Messi celebrated by pointing at Inter Miami owner David Beckham. His performance follows a match-winning stoppage-time free kick on his debut last week. In an interview, his teammate Robert Taylor said he can do everything on the ball. He can keep it in tight spaces and he can make the right decision 100% of the time. Most of the time, he'll find one of his teammates. He'll bring so much quality to the team. So much, I mean, he's the best player in the world. Well, Messi, who's a 7-time Ballon d'Or winner, only trained with his teammates for the first time last week after moving to the Major League Soccer side following the end of his contract at PSG. Well, absolutely wonderful. It's great to see Messi doing well and helping so many teams uh, around the world. And his move to the MLS was one that was muted as kind of like another moral standpoint, basically. He doesn't need the money to go to Saudi Arabia, which he was approached to do earlier in the summer. And he made the move to the MLS and thought that'd be a great deal for me. He's got everything. He's getting franchise money from everybody over in the MLS. Plus, his contract runs up until the World Cup in 2026. Will he be there for the World Cup in 2026? We don't know. He might be in some capacity. He is 36, but 3 years from now, 39, it'll be a tough task, but you never know. Um, and he is the World Cup winner at the moment. They are the World Cup holders, so who knows? Who knows? But Lionel Messi, shining as always. Right, to a big story for transfers, and Manchester United hope to sign Atalanta striker Rasmus Højlund before the new Premier League season begins. The Red Devils host Wolves in their 2023-24 opener on August the 14th. After Wednesday's 2-0 defeat by Real Madrid in Houston, manager Erik ten Hag said club officials were working 24/7 to get a deal done for a new forward. Højlund is top of their list, but United do have alternative targets if they cannot agree a fee for the 20-year-old Denmark striker. They are also interested in Eintracht Frankfurt's French forward, Randall Kolo Muani, as well as Ajax's Ghana international Mohamed Kudus, who can play both as an attacking midfielder and a centre forward. While United's transfer budget is stretched because of new financial fair play rules, but they do have the flexibility to bring in Højlund without selling players. Now, the one thing I would say about this, though, there's been a break in the story in the last few moments and the last few hours here that PSG have also made a bid. So apparently, according to Sky Sports News, PSG have made a £43 million bid for Rasmus Højlund. So it seems like Manchester United and PSG will be the two clubs going up against it. And obviously, with this whole Kylian Mbappe stuff, it could be a lot more interesting than we think. Interesting indeed. Moving on to Real Madrid. And Real Madrid midfielder Jude Bellingham scored his first goal and was named man of the match in a 2-0 win over Manchester United in a pre-season friendly in Houston, Texas. The 20-year-old England midfielder played just his second game since an £88 million move to the Spanish champions, produced a delicate lob in the 6th minute to beat United's debutant keeper Andre Onana. An acrobatic Joselu finish sealed the win 2 minutes from time in front of a 67,801 people crowd at the NRG Stadium. Bellingham said after the match, "There is a lot to aim for. It is the biggest club with the best players. The expectations are high, as they should be." Well, on the evidence of his debut performance against AC Milan on Sunday, and now United, Bellingham has already settled in. Incredible. Absolutely wonderful for Jude Bellingham. See him settling in at one of the biggest football clubs in the world and performing absolutely instantly. He's just a star beyond belief, let's be honest, absolutely sensational. Jude Bellingham, was captain of Borussia Dortmund team, one of the biggest clubs in the world, a huge club in the world, Borussia Dortmund, being their captain at age 19, the youngest captain, I think. Absolutely incredible. What a guy. What a player. Right, moving on to our final bits of this week's news in the Premier League Summer Series. I had 3 more matches for us over this week. Of course, the Premier League Summer Series is the Premier League's new pre-season competition. It's like a mini competition involving 6 Premier League clubs. This edition involves 6 Premier League clubs. That's Brentford, Brighton, Aston Villa, Chelsea, Fulham, and Newcastle for the opening games. We had our opening games on Sunday and Monday of this week. Fulham beat Brentford 3-2. Chelsea beat Brighton 4-3. And Newcastle and Villa played out a 6-goal thriller in a 3-all draw. In the second set of rounds, second round of games, that is, Brighton beat Brentford by 2-0. Aston Villa beat Fulham by the same scoreline of 2-0. And Newcastle and Chelsea played out a 1-all draw. Much more definitive results in those games. And let's see what that does to the table for the summer series. Of course, you do win a trophy. The club that finishes top of the table after 3 games lifts a trophy. And top of the table at the moment are Aston Villa, who lead on goal difference over Chelsea, both on 4 points, Villa and Chelsea. But Villa have 2 goal difference, and Chelsea on +1. Brighton and Fulham on 3 points apiece in third and fourth. Newcastle in fifth with 2 points, and Brentford in sixth, the only team to have lost both of their games. And there will be more from the Premier League Summer Series with another 3 fixtures to come on Friday, Saturday morning, and Sunday in the UK. Brighton host Newcastle, Aston Villa face Brentford, and Chelsea face Fulham, which is actually set up quite well, to be fair, with Aston Villa and Chelsea both going for top spot at the moment. They play at very similar times. Very good. Very, very good to see. And just one more bit of information. I thought we were wrapping this week's news up, but we have a huge breaking story just coming into us in the last few moments. Former Manchester City midfielder David Silva has retired from football after suffering a serious knee injury. The 37-year-old spent a decade with City after joining from Valencia in 2010 and won 4 Premier League titles. He left the Etihad to join Real Sociedad in 2020 and was about to begin his 4th season with the Spanish side, but after sustaining an anterior cruciate ligament injury in a pre-season training session, he has decided to call time on his career. A World Cup and European Championship winner with Spain, Silva confirmed he was hanging up his boots with a video posted on Twitter this afternoon. In that video, he said, "Today is a sad day for me. Today it is time to say goodbye to what I have dedicated my whole life to. Muchas gracias, fútbol." Well, there you go. What a dramatic end to this week's news. That is this week's news. We're going to be back with a Women's World Cup update in just a moment.
Keep on moving on. Keep on moving on.
Welcome back to the LFS podcast. Time for a Women's World Cup update then. And we have 5 big stories to tell you about, just the ones that are coming through to us at the very most important times, and 2 teams that have qualified for the knockouts already. Spain coach Jorge Vilda warned there is more to come from his side after they thrashed Zambia to progress to the last 16 of the FIFA Women's World Cup with a game to spare. Jenny Hermoso and Alba Redondo both scored twice as the Spanish secured a 2nd successive win at the tournament in Australia and New Zealand. Spain have scored 8 goals so far without reply, underlining their credentials as potential World Cup winners, but Vilda insists his side can play even better. Well, Spain play Japan on Monday in a game that will decide the Group C winner, and Vilda said, "We haven't seen the best version of Spain. That is absolutely clear. We have 4 days to improve, recover physically and mentally, and put in a better performance against Japan." Well, there you go. Spain through to the knockouts. And also in their group, Japan have qualified for the FIFA World Cup Women's World Cup round of 16 after their routine win over Costa Rica was followed by Spain beating Zambia to secure both progressed from Group C. Hikaru Nomoto and Abo Fujino both scored in the space of 3 first-half minutes to ease the 2011 champions to 3 points. Japan's victory put them on the brink of qualification, but they needed Spain to win to guarantee their place in the knockout stages with 1 game still to play. Japan and Spain, who are the first sides to qualify, both have 6 points in Group C and will face off for top spot. Wow. Well, of course, that game will take place on July the 31st, with Japan needing to win to finish first due to Spain's superior goal difference. It is huge for that group because, of course, whether you finish top of the group depends on who you will face in the next round, in the round of 16, and both will be hoping for quite a comfortable draw, but it's not always the way. Well, from two sides that qualified for the knockouts to one that has been knocked out, Canada fought back from a goal down to beat the Republic of Ireland 2-1 and knock the debutants out of the Women's World Cup. Irish captain Katie McCabe scored the Republic's first World Cup goal with her superb corner. Flew into the net after just 4 minutes. The Irish had chances to add a second against the Olympic champions, but they were undone in the first half injury time as Julia Grosso's cross took a touch off defender Megan Connolly and nestled in the bottom corner in torrential conditions. Adriana Leon poked Canada into the lead 8 minutes into the second half, and although they pressed forward, the Republic couldn't find the goal that they needed to keep their hopes of progressing alive. The Republic will be playing for pride against Nigeria, who played co-host Australia this morning in their final match of Group B. And in that result, Nigeria came out 3-2 winners. Absolutely fantastic. So Nigeria and Canada, the top two in Group B, heading into the final day. Big task for Australia against Canada in the week. And two sides that repeated the 2019 World Cup final. Captain Lindsay Horan came to the rescue after defending champions the United States after the Netherlands had threatened an upset at the Women's World Cup. New Manchester City signing Jill Roord put the Dutch on course for a famous win after a clinical finish from the edge of the box. The Stars and Stripes have been a superpower on the world stage, winning their previous 13 matches, spanning 3 tournaments, but they struggled to break down a resolute Netherlands defence until Horan equalised with a header from a corner. In a repeat of the 2019 final, which the USA won 2-0 in Lyon, Savannah De Mello fired wide when the game was goalless, while Trinity Rodman forced Daphne van Domselaar into a fingertip save moments after the Dutch had taken the lead. Well, it looked like being a bitterly frustrating day for the USA when Julie Ertz had a header deflected behind before Horan equalised. The United States stay top of Group E with 4 points from 2 games, the same number as the Netherlands, who trail on goal difference. And it makes it ever more exciting because the next game, which is our final of the update, is a huge one. Portugal-Vietnam, and that puts them in a very good position. Portugal have set up a face-off with reigning champions the United States for a Women's World Cup last 16 spot by winning impressively against Vietnam. The debutants got a maiden victory via their first World Cup goals, scored by Telma Encarnaco and Kika Nazareth. Portugal will progress to the knockout stages if they cause a giant upset and beat 4-time winners the USA. Vietnam will be eliminated from the World Cup after this loss at Waikato Stadium in Hamilton, New Zealand. Portugal play the United States in their final Group B match on Tuesday, while Vietnam will seek their first World Cup point and goal against the Netherlands at the same time. And that group is exciting because USA and Netherlands both on 4 points, Portugal on 3 points. It's still very tight. 3 teams battling it out for 2 positions in the knockout stages. And we will find all about that and we'll confirm all the teams in the knockout stages in next week's LFS podcast. Right, after this short break, we're going to take a quick break and we will be back with the latest on the Kylian Mbappe story. We'll tell you all about that in just a few moments.
Keep on moving on.
Right then, let's get on with the last part of the LFS podcast. And I think it's going to be a lot shorter than what I expected initially. I was going to go through all the details and everything that had to be happening. But really, there's not much, there's a movement on it, but it's not movement that would cause massive headlines. But let's just bring up to date with where we are from the very start. So initially, Al Hilal submitted a bid of £259 million for Kylian Mbappe. That's 300 million euros. PSG then accepted that bid and allowed for Al Hilal to speak to Kylian Mbappe. Now that's the starting point. That's where we all begin. That's basically the crux of the story. That's the big details. Now, Kylian Mbappe, basically how this come about is that Kylian Mbappe's contract ends next summer. When he signed that contract, he had an option. The player, Kylian Mbappe, had the option, if he wanted to extend that by an additional year. That was not PSG. That was not anybody else. Kylian Mbappe was the only one that could sign that extension, or agree to that extension, or have the obligation to that extension. He has opted not to do that, despite PSG believing they would trust him to do so. So that means that his contract will not run to 2025, but it will run to 2024, as he doesn't want to extend by that additional year. Which then means that PSG are now in a scramble this summer to get the player out, because this is the last transfer window, if he isn't going to sign a new contract, that they can get money for him. Because in January, he can leave on a Bosman free. And next summer, he can leave on a free contract. So there's neither suit PSG. PSG need to cash in on him this summer, but Real Madrid aren't willing to do that. They want to get him on a free contract next summer. That's where the crux of the issue is. There's not an agreement between PSG and Real Madrid, and the contacts are a bit frayed at the moment with all this drama that has been over the last few years. Because Kylian Mbappe has wanted to go to Real Madrid for the last few years. Let's make no bones about it. And that's when he signed this contract. The last time that he was linked with with Real Madrid, that's when he signed this contract. But that's just where it gets interesting. Kylian Mbappe doesn't want to move to Saudi Arabia. He doesn't want to. It's been categorically proven. Kylian Mbappe does not want to even negotiate with Al Hilal, according to Fabrizio Romano. PSG sources believe he has agreed a secret pre-deal with Real Madrid and are convinced that he only wants to sign for Real Madrid. Now, that is not surprising, to be fair. That is not surprising. The player has completely made it very clear he does not want to go anywhere else other than Real Madrid. He wants to go to Real Madrid, and that's it. That's the final issue. There's no more debating it. He wants to go to Real Madrid. The problem is, of course, PSG want to get money for him, and Real Madrid don't want to pay the money because they know they can get him in a year. But PSG have said they're trying to go on the defensive now, and they have said if Kylian Mbappe does not go anywhere this summer, he will not play a single more minute for PSG. He will not play next season. This season, that is. He will not play a single minute in a PSG shirt, which will mean he will spend a whole season on the bench or not involved, and that will mean that he will not be fit going into Real Madrid next season. He will not be fit ahead of the Euros next summer, and that will derail probably his progression plan. But the point is, Kylian Mbappe is staying firm, Real Madrid are staying firm, but PSG are also staying firm. So basically, we're at a crossroads here of there's no real movement. There's no movement from PSG's side. They're not worried about a move. They've accepted that bid from Al Hilal, but Kylian Mbappe doesn't want to move. Real Madrid haven't actually weighed in on the issue yet, which I think PSG were expecting them to because of this threat from Al Hilal. But Al Hilal are probably only offering a 1-year deal, which would actually suit Real Madrid even better. So it's not actually worked out the way that PSG would have wanted, I think, because I think PSG were expecting a reaction from Real Madrid and expecting them to pounce and try and put in a deal for him. But that's not going to happen. That is not happening at this moment in time. The only way there could be a positive out of this is if there's a loan deal somewhere. If Kylian Mbappe goes on loan to a club around Europe, that is the only way he can move in Europe. There's no one going to pay 200 odd million pounds. There's no hope for it. They probably won't even pay half that at this moment in time for him. With his contract situation. But that's the point I'm making, is that PSG just have to hope now that they're going to get anything, but I don't think they are. I don't think PSG are going to get very much or anything at all. Real Madrid aren't going to budge. Al Hilal are desperate to get the player, but if the player doesn't want to negotiate, then it's a no-go. And PSG are desperate to get rid of him, or if they don't get rid of him, they say he's not going to play for them again. So either way, it's basically we're standing still at the moment. We're at a stoppage because we don't know where we're going to go from here. Where the deal is going to go, what the move is going to be, what it's going to be. So who knows? But what we do know is that he will play for Real Madrid next summer. That is what we are certain of. He will join Real Madrid and he will be a Real Madrid player next summer. It's just about what happens this season for Kylian Mbappe. But at the moment, he looks like he's staying put at PSG because there's no other alternative at this moment in time. Which is kind of difficult. And that's basically where the saga stops at the moment. I'm sure there's so much more to come and there'll be so many more developments, but at the moment, that is the latest of where we stand. Kylian Mbappe doesn't want to move to Al Hilal or Saudi Arabia for the year. Let's not forget what he's being offered as well, by the way. He is being offered 700 million euros. 700 million euros for a 1-year contract. 700 million. That is insane amounts of money for a 1-year contract. I'm baffled why he doesn't want to do it. But then again, it's up to him. It's up to him. But we're at a crossroads and we'll see what developments come. But at the moment, Kylian Mbappe saga is a no-go. Nothing's happening. Right, well, that is the LFS podcast for this week. Don't forget to follow us on social media to keep up to date. Twitter and TikTok at LF Streams 2 on both of those platforms. Keep you up to date with everything that's going on with the channel and everything that's to come over the season. And don't forget, we are also back with so much more football to come over the next few weeks. We have 2 more games to come. We have the England-Denmark game, which you've already seen by now. That's Friday morning. And then we've the final round of fixtures starting next week as well. So much still to come before our opening weekend bonanza here on LFS, with domestic football returning as well next weekend. So much to come. I hope you can enjoy it. And we'll be back with another LFS podcast next week. Do join us then. Bye-bye.
Keep